and Happy New Year to you, my darling. So this is what we created Monday. So very simply just cutting out that element of the paper. And if you haven't seen the papers in detail, then do hop back to Monday's live where I show them page by page. And we also made this one here using the one with the soft sea foam backing. So that was Monday's. And then yesterday we did some embossing with the fern embossing folder. I'm not sure how much of that you can see in this light. Maybe if I just tilt it you can see that, hopefully. So I just took a sheet of the paper, cut it down so you can get 6 of this card design out of 1 sheet of paper, and you have 2 of these sheets. And I popped that through an embossing folder and just added a sentiment on the bottom, so nice and simple. And then the other thing I did yesterday, I went on to do another one afterwards, is create a bookmark just using another panel from this piece of paper. So you get 2 of these, and I just created a little bookmark like so, and some matching ribbon thanks to the lovely Lynn. So that's what we've done so far this week. So today is the last day you can order from the current mini catalogue. So this is the winter catalogue. As of this evening, 10:30ish, a little bit after, you won't be able to order from that anymore. Okay, so I'm going to use this panel of paper today, and I've cut this 8 by 12, and I've got a backing piece which is 8.5 by 12.5 centimeters. And what I want to do is use some of the products from the Fabulous Frames die set, and this consists of 2 sets of corners and a whole host of different frames. There's this little one here that creates this little shape, which is like almost like a little book plate. I'll just bring that up. It's quite small, but it's got little holes on either side. And amongst everything else in there, there's also this oval frame here. And this creates this lovely detailed oval frame. I don't know if you can see the detail in there. Like so. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this piece behind and cut out some corners, but also while I'm there I'm just going to utilise this piece to cut out a frame for my second card, and you'll see that card in a second. So what I'm going to do is just run this through my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So it's got the bottom plate and that one there, and as I say, this is 12.5 by 8.5, but I'm just going to cut out these elements like so. There we are. Sorry, just put my hand in the way. There we go. Just run that through the ones that doesn't need any more than that. Okay, so this frame I might use in the next card. I'm just going to put that to one side for the minute. Clear some space. So I hope everybody is well. So this is the little corners. And these are great if you love vintage cards. These little photo corners are fabulous, and there are 2 designs. There's this one, and then there's a little embossed one as well. Same size, sorry, but embossed with a sort of curly design, and this has got a little frame built into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that on here, and then I want to frame the corners. Really simple, not a complicated card, and you could do this with any floral papers. And this is great for scrapbooking as well. If you like scrapbooking, you could do this with a larger panel on a 12 by 12, or if you're using 8 by 8 or 6 by 6 or a journal, you can just change the size of that accordingly. And then this is going to go onto our base card. So I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. I like the paper to do all the work. And then I'm just going to add a little plate here. So I'm going to stamp that first, and I'm just going to use just a note. And I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss because it's quite a fine sentiment, and I do like to take the sentiment darker than the darkest card, just so that it stands out. So I'm hoping I can get this fairly straight, assuming this was straight to start with. There we go, just a note. And that is from our go-to greetings, which I've used all week actually. So this has got 4 sentiments in 3 different styles, and it also has got a small hello on there. Hope that was not in too much of a reflection for you. But yeah, go-to greetings, that's in our annual catalogue. So let's pop this all together. So that was the die that I used for those corners. You could easily stamp the back of this. Now I have ordered the coordinating stamp set that goes with these papers from the new catalogue. But what have I? Just thinking I've ordered them, but they haven't arrived, but maybe I just haven't ordered them. Okay, what I'm going to do, normally I would put this layer on first, but because this has got lots of holes in it, I'm going to pop this layer down first and then put my paper layer on top, because what I don't want to do is put the glue on the back of this and then find it's stuck everywhere. So I'm just going to take that, and you can use whichever glue you prefer. I've got some wet glue here, so I'm just going to put some along the edge, so not right on the edge and not a huge amount. It's certainly a nice bright day today. Let's hope that carries on. Okay, just going to pop this flat. So the focus this week for these cards are just simple, quick, easy cards using your designer series paper. So obviously if you haven't got this, or you don't end up ordering this, then just use your own designer paper. Now I've said it could be florals, but really it could be anything. Doesn't have to be florals. It could be watercolors, for example. So I'm going to pop this flat on here, and again I can put glue all over it now. Centre that, so I've got 1/2 centimetre difference between the layers, like so. And then I'm going to pop these up. Now there is an embossed side to this, I'm going to make sure they're the same. And am I going to put those on dimensionals to make it look like it's been tucked in? I think I am. So let's turn these over so they're on the backs, like that. And just pop a dimensional on each one. Just making sure I turn it so that you can't see it. There we go. Alright, so just going to pop these up, and you can either have this all the way to the corners of this rich raspberry layer. You could also put it so that this corner centerpiece is just on that edge. There's lots of different ways you can do it. I think I'm going to do this so that it matches the edges, so it looks like this whole mat is a frame. And I'm pleased to report that after my recent operation I've made great progress, and so we're getting back to a level of normality, and Coffee and Card returns on Friday. Morning Fran, I hope you're well. Yeah, Coffee and Card returns on Friday in Brackley and then Monday in Toaster. So there's my little framed corners. Just gives it a really nice effect. Now you could do these in gold. You could also use a contrasting colour for these if you wanted to. And then I'm just going to pop my, just a note, because I want in all of the cases this week, I just want the papers to do the work. We don't need to cover anything up because the papers say it all. And I apologise if you're not fond of florals and flowers. Okay, having said that, there's plenty of other new papers to choose from, and I am offering a paper share from the new catalogue as well. Okay, let's have a look-see. So there is our first card. It is too pretty to cover up, you're quite right, Fran. And then if I had an off-cut of this, this is the wrong width, the way that I cut it. But if I had an off-cut, I could put a piece on the inside at the bottom. I could take a piece here on the right-hand side, but because I've cut that size, I will probably go off and make at least another one card of that. So there we go, there's our first card there. So I hope you liked that one. Hope you can see it all right. So for our second card, the inspiration for this design has come from one of the cards from our December All Occasions Cards class, and this is the spotlight technique. And all I've done for this is I took the papers Abigail Rose and I used the frame just to mark out a section, and then I've just coloured in that single section, as you can see there. So I'm going to do something similar, but what I'm going to do is just frame a piece of the designer series paper, the pattern paper. So let's see. So for this one I've got my white base card, 10.5 by 14.85, and I've got a layer of rich raspberry which is 10 by 14.35, and then I've just got a piece of that designer series paper. So this is the all over design with the slightly larger flowers. There is one with the smaller ones, which is this one here. Okay, and I'm going to layer those up, and then I'm going to use either the gold or the rich raspberry oval to highlight this flower here. So obviously you could select your piece of paper and then choose it, or you could deliberately cut the paper so that the focus was a flower in a particular position. So I do tend to favour this, as you can see, sort of centre left, slightly high of centre I should say. And you could bring this down or have this high. You could also highlight any of these other ones, but this is what I'm going for. And then I think what I'm going to do is maybe add a sentiment and punch it out with our oval punch. So let's just punch this layer out first and see. And if I don't use this, it doesn't matter. And while I'm here, I might as well do another one, like so. So ignore the fact that's now got holes in it. We're just being economical with our card. There's our layers like so, and then we're going to have our frame here, and then I'm thinking stamp a sentiment and pop that in the oval here. It might look too busy, so I'm going to try and see. I'll just use just a note as well, as it's here. But you could use thank you, you could use happy birthday. Just pop this in. It's going to be at the bottom. That's going to be at the top. Let's just put it in the middle. Okay, now just in case I don't use that one, I'm going to stamp another one of this little banner. So I might decide it's too busy. Okay, so let's punch that one out. Yes, dear dear. It was going to be in the wrong place whatever I did, wasn't it? Okay, so I've just turned that over, getting it roughly straight, like so. I do love punches for quick sentiments. So, just on my layout, that's what it's going to look like so. So the question is, I could use the gold and put gold behind here, or leave it with the raspberry. What do you think? Is that too much of one dark colour? Let me grab a piece of gold and just punch out a gold one of those and see if that looks better. Failing that, I wonder if that would work, or that one on its own. And it gets a little bit lost, doesn't it? Decisions. Right, I have a little bit of gold card. I'll put my punch down. Here it is. So let me know. So, oh, you're saying gold and gold. Okay. Carol and Fran. So let's have a look. So there's the gold. Yeah, I think it does. It does lift it actually, doesn't it? The other one's a little bit too dark. Like so. And then with that, or does that look too fussy? I think it's too fussy. Personally, I think I prefer that. Now this piece here obviously has the stalk coming out the bottom, alright, but I don't want to put this too far down, so I think what I'm going to do is very similar to my card from the class, is put a ribbon on the bottom, and then that will just cover up the fact that the stalk is sticking out the bottom. And in fact this is this lovely gold and vanilla ribbon, but I think I have some plain gold just as something different. So definitely the gold then, and just let me know whether we're going for the oval layer. I could ink the edges of that to make that stand out a little bit, I think. Right, let's just see what gold ribbon I've got. I could use that. Let's have a look. It is really pretty, this. Yeah, I think it's okay. I was thinking because it was vanilla, but then this isn't white. Let's have a quick look. So I've got some other gold. I've got this one. Too many choices. So this is like almost like a crumb cake with the gold running through it. But it might be too bulky. So we've got gold with an oval layer and Promax a little tag. I love that we're all different. Okay, so let's make this smaller. Quite a thick ribbon. Okay, let's cut this and then decide which one we might use. So there's that one. Both oval, no ribbon. We're going to have every different combination, aren't we? I can see that. Okay, let's have a look. So just making this smaller and smaller and smaller. I think I prefer this just a little bit lighter. Okay, so decision time. That's okay, Carol, you're not complicating it. It's just nice to see different suggestions and ideas, that's for sure. Okay, so that's one option. Let's take that as option A with the ribbon and the tag. And then option B would be that. Just feel it needs something there. That's just me. So, oval or tag? And while you're deciding on that, I'm going to put the rest of the card together. So again, because this has got sections cut out of it, I'm just going to glue this down first. Put a little bit in there and there. So oval or tag is our starting point now. There we go, and we're approaching our half hour, so that's perfect. Okay, this layer on the top. And so one thing I haven't used is any of these backing layers. So I'll revisit that at some point. Okay, so don't forget, bargains to be had with the winter catalogue that finishes. Lots of stamp sets at 60% off. I think a lot of the papers have gone, but if you want to stock up ready for next year, for Christmas in particular, then okay. And am I going to put that on dimensionals, or am I going to do that flat? I did this on dimensionals on my sample, so let's do that really quickly. And just going to use these lovely little edges. You could also use these strips, or you could use the foam sheets and actually cut that through with the die if you wanted to. Jeanette says tag. Okay. That one, complete with a piece of something. There we go. I think that will do, that's enough. Don't have to go mad. It's not like it's got to carry any weight. You just want it supported enough. There we go. Okay. Just think this frame is so delicate and pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to position that a little bit further over, like so. Now obviously if there was a particular flower you wanted, you could position that first and then cut your paper accordingly. Mine was almost just cut it and see what I find. The other thing you could do that would be really effective would be to take a piece of window sheet and put it in front of that layer between the frame and the card, and then it would look like you know, a window. I'm going for the tag. Sorry, Carol. I think if this was higher up, then I would use that, but I feel like it's all sort of squashed in a little bit. Whereas using this one, it sort of evens that out slightly. I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals though. And you could thread some baker's twine through. This is definitely too fine for ribbon. You could also put brads through it, so you could pop it straight onto your card, punch a couple of holes and put brads through if you've got some of those. Let's pop that there. And I'm just going to make this slightly smaller and have it slightly offset. Such pretty ribbon, and it really does manipulate nicely. You know, some ribbons just don't go where you want them to, but I think this one, because it's fine, there's my scissors, it works. I picked up the ones that need cleaning. That'll be a job at some point. It's a very therapeutic job, going through sharpening and cleaning all my scissors. Okay, and I'm just going to pop that slightly off to the side, because I could have it there, but I want to just cover up that little stalk, and I'll just use glue dot for that, if I can see it. There it is, tucked away where it should be. And that will be that for today. Now I do have some more birthday and Christmas cards to share with you. Thanks to Royal Mail, they're still coming through, which is great. It means I get to extend my birthday. So I might pop on later and show you those. Just going to pop that just there. And there we go. There's our finished cards. Thank you, Carol. Sometimes it works. Sometimes what everybody else suggests works better. But I'm happy with that. My idea of the ovals, I think if this was higher up, it would have definitely worked. But not to worry. So those are our 2 card designs for today. So another 2 for our collection. So it just goes to show how when you've got some really good patterned paper, as long as you like obviously florals or foliage, then you can make a whole series of quick cards without too much effort. Now I know I've used some die cutting. Let me just pop all of these out for anybody who hasn't seen them. So I know I've used die cutting and embossing, but if you took those away, all of these other ones, you could use just punch label, are straightforward and easy to create. So thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you have a good day. It is lovely paper, isn't it, Carol? So thank you, Lynn. I will upload this to YouTube for those that want to watch that later. One of the benefits of watching it on YouTube, although you can do it here, is that you can speed me up a little bit. So you can run me at 1.5 times. Thank you, Fran. Thank you, Jeanette, Carol, Lynn, Fran I've done, and anybody else who's watching who hasn't said hi. I can't acknowledge you if I don't know you're there. So thank you for joining me. I hope you like the card designs. As I say, for my customers, you'll be getting your new catalogues in the post very soon, so watch out for those. If you come to Coffee and Card in the next week, then you'll get your copy there and then. In the meantime, do take care, look after yourselves, and oh bless you, Fran, that's fair enough. You can always just fast forward to the bit where we're actually crafting. That's another way to do it. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Do take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, morning, afternoon, evening, and I'll catch up with you really soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.